All right. Good morning, everybody. We are live with coverage of the Virtual World Cup, our opening round first event between Malaysia and India. My name is Will Anderson, and obviously, this is an event brought to you by the Collins Coalition, COCO. Huge thanks to Evans Clinchy and Jennifer Lee for just incredible work in organizing this event. So I'm going live a little bit early today for those of you guys that are not 100% sure how the event is going to be structured, how is everything going to work here, and we're just going to break it down really quick before the players get going in just about 10 minutes time. So in local time for me, it is 7:50 a.m., but I think for the players, they're looking at early evening time, so they should be raring to go and ready to play today's match. So the tournament's structure is a team format. So there are 16 teams playing in this event. These are two of those teams. Good morning. Thank you. Yes, it is early for me. So one of the challenges in this event is that because we have teams from all over the world, we got to pick times that hopefully are good for both the players and some commentators somewhere in the world. So this match does fit that bill, although it is a little early for a weekend morning. But so you see, it is a 5x5 team format. So how it works is very simple. Every member of each team plays every member of the opposing team over 5 rounds of play. So we're going to be bringing you 5 rounds that consists of a total of 25 games. And the first team to win 13 of those games is the winner of the match. Each game will be 15 minutes aside, 5-point challenge, and obviously, as you would expect from an event brought to you by the Collins Coalition, it will be the Collins Lexicon. So you can see this event will be structured into 2 phases. It'll have pool play and then a knockout bracket. So we are in the beginning phases of pool play. If you missed the selection show that we had, I guess, not quite a week ago, you can go back onto my channel or the Coco YouTube channel, and it's only, I don't know, maybe half an hour or so, and you can watch as Evans Clinchy picks these teams that you see right out of a hat. So random drawings leading to these groups. Today's matchup is going to be between Malaysia and India in Group A, but you can see they're joined by the UK and Thailand, and Group B consisting of Australia, Nigeria, Pakistan, and South Africa. Group C, Singapore, Canada, Ghana, and Kenya. And Group D, the USA. I am on that team. I will be playing our first week of pool play match against the Philippines in a little bit over 12 hours from now. I'm sure I'll get a nap to help me through the day. And then we are joined by Ireland and New Zealand in Group D. So today's matchup, again, Malaysia and India. It says a lot about this tournament that neither of these teams managed to secure a number 1 seed, which the seedings were determined by rating, average WESPA rating, and the fact that the team that has the highest rated player in the world, according to WESPA, Ganesh Asirvatham, was not able to secure a number 1 seed shows you that there are a lot of strong teams. Hey, Rick, thanks for the sub. Really appreciate that. And Malaysia has a pretty strong team on down from Ganesh as well. Really strong players. Darren Koo, I played him at the Alchemist Cup in December 2018, which is sort of the blueprint, I would say, for this event as far as a World Cup style team event of Scrabble. And Darren kicked my ass in that event. So, and obviously I've played a number of the other players on Malaysia before. I played Vanita and Andrew as well at Alchemist Cup. I think Andrew also beat me. So it's a strong team. But of course, India boasting Akshay, a former world champion, as its number 1 seed with other very strong players. Sherwin also very strong. And a lot of the other players on that team, Aditya up and coming, Udayan is a veteran of world level play, so it's very, very experienced and solid teams here. So throughout the event, I'm going to be filling in this page. I know this is a lot to digest, but basically this is the schedule of games that's going to be played, and we're going to try to show you guys at least 5 of these games, pretty in-depth. I also want to test this for you guys that are following along. We've got still 5 minutes till start time. So just because we want to make the stream as entertaining as possible for viewers, I'm going to be adding poll functionality here. So you can see the round 1 matchups. Anybody that has a strong preference, it's time to vote. There's an active poll in the chat right now. You just type the number for the matchup you'd like to see in round 1, and we will prioritize that matchup as our feature game. You really can't go wrong, I don't think. There's a lot of good matchups here. Yeah, I see a quick vote for Darren versus Akshay. I think that stands out to me as a really strong matchup between 2 excellent players. But you can never go wrong watching Ganesh, and there's definitely some other really juicy matchups here. So hopefully the polls are helpful to just get the matchups that you guys want to see. We want this to be as entertaining for viewers as possible. So the poll is still going to be live. I think it's still going to be up. Yeah, there it is. So we have our game screen here. I don't think I've enabled it so that you can vote for multiple matchups. Maybe I should do that. That could be fun to do if people just have co-favorites. Right now, I think it's just one, but I think you'll have to pick. It looks pretty close. So obviously, the great thing about ISC is that it's quite easy to hop from game to game, much more so than it would be covering a live tournament where you really need to just stick with the one game that you're playing. So obviously, it seems like the 2 matchups that people are most interested in right now are Darren versus Akshay and Vanita versus Sherwin. So those are 2 great choices. And if one of the games, if we start out with game 2 and it turns out to be a blowout, we can just hop to game 3. So I'll just get the game screen, assuming that the poll holds. I will just get that ready for what we expect to be Darren versus Akshay, which is a great opening matchup. Good choices, everybody. And obviously, hopefully, I'm sure the players will be tempted to pop onto the stream, give some thoughts, see other games that are happening. But obviously, please, if you happen to be in the stream chat and see that your game is about to be streamed, hopefully just pop the stream off for the duration of that game. All right, let me see here. We just got to get these graphics nice and centered up. Okay, so the players are going to be starting in just a couple of minutes. So we'll have our round 1 matchup. Actually, I have another screen that I can get ready. So yeah, I wonder, does anyone have any prognostications? Anybody have any predictions of scores that you expect this match to? So remember, it's going to be, the numbers are going to add to 25. So you could see 15 to 10, 13 to 12. Got to add up to 25. Anybody have any score predictions for how you think this match is going to turn out? I'm curious. I'm not sure what I would say. It seems very even. So I'm very excited to watch it get underway. A 12.5 tie, that is definitely possible. Yeah, I wonder. It's not clear to me that there is an obvious favorite between these 2 teams. So, all right. So, okay. Yeah, good close predictions. It would be I do think 13 to 12 is roughly where it's going to converge, just because the 2 teams are so close. And remember, the poll is still open if you want to, if you're dissatisfied with either of the matchups, you can choose as a group, of course. I see the stream is lagging a little bit. Let's hope that normalizes. Okay, hoping that we're back with a little bit better of a connection. I'm not really sure. At least we didn't miss a move, hopefully. I see Stirk be played, and it looks like Akshay has opened the game. All right, let me just get set up here and try to make it so that it's not, and an extra challenge as well. Just verifying that. Yeah, I hope it was just a little spike and nothing more. So, all right, so yeah, I guess that's, I hope it will stabilize. I've never streamed in the morning. I don't really know. It seems like in the morning it should be pretty stable, but let's hope it evens out shortly. Yeah, so the Quackle feature is just, I'm going to be doing that periodically, but if you wanted, I mean, it's basically for you guys to remind me to use Quackle if I forget for a little while. Okay, so Akshay is going first. Versus Darren Koo. And we are gonna, hey, Truthman, good, man. I'm just getting situated and hoping for stable internets as we kick off the coverage of the Virtual World Cup. First round matchup is going to be between Akshay Bandarkar, former world champion, and Darren Koo, the #2 seed on the Malaysia team. And he plays OE with that vowel-heavy rack, which looks like a decent idea. It was going to be tricky to get rid of that V as well on that move, so don't mind that. I guess Akshay was probably hoping for a D to come out in space. I wonder what else will he have with this rack. I guess, let me see here. Oh yes, flag's wrong, thank you. We can fix that really quick. Thank you very much. Yeah, I got a lot of moving pieces here, so. Oh yeah, also the name's wrong. Akshay is Akshay B. So we will get everything all set up. This screen is actually I'm going to cut to a very similar looking screen that will have our feature players listed on the top bar. Yeah, so for those that are new to the channel, we have the ability to define words and query anagrams and things like that as we see Grice be played. That is an interesting move. The nice thing about it is that, okay, as we see Obviates be played immediately in response by Darren, nice bingo. I guess the nice thing about Grice is that it sets up multiple lanes for that S. Looks like Akshay just disconnected for a moment. I'm sure he'll be back. It would be very unlike Akshay to just rage quit after one bingo down by less than 30 points. So I'm pretty sure that was simply a disconnection, and he'll be back in just a minute. So good morning, Listeem. Nice to see you. So, all right, Akshay is back. And right, when that happens, I have to re-observe the game. Okay, so we're back. Yeah, that would be pretty funny. Rage quit for good. Your opponent plays Obviates to go up by 26, and I'm out. I can't deal with this luck BS. This is just total garbage. So if you're just joining, this is literally round 1 of the first match of the Virtual World Cup in pool play. 3 weeks of pool play will lead up to a bracket of the top 8 teams, 2 from each of the 4 groups. You can just cut to that really quickly. It's not filled up yet, but in 3 weeks' time, there will be 8 teams that emerge from pool play that get put into this bracket. Spread is a factor, I believe. We can. I know that the rules are on the Coco site. They may be on the same place as the link that you get by typing !standings in the chat. Oh wow. Okay, so yeah, a couple plays through the V, no double doubles, but definitely some strong plays through the B and through the V, I should say. And sure enough, true to form, Akshay finds one of those two plays seducive. It's possible that maybe you could make an argument that excusive was a hair better than that, but I really, that is splitting hairs for sure. So let me see. He had, yeah, seducive there. And the other blank finds its way into Darren's rack. Wow. So quickly the blanks will be expended here. I guess that there are a couple things that I see right off the bat. There are certainly, he can play, I can use my drawing capability there. The L hook of go, you can put an L on there and you could see hateful go down in that spot. That obviously very risky in the sense that playing hateful in that spot right here, I think I can even do this, just makes a pretty nice overlapping spot, which could score a ton of points if Akshay has the wrong tile. So he may be apt to keep looking, even though that's a pretty high scoring bingo in this position. Other options, perhaps a little bit safer, would be to play hasteful. So the same letters in the same order, but just through the S of seducive. That way, just putting an F in this spot is not nearly as dangerous as putting an H parallel to a triple word score. So you take a 3-point sacrifice, but I'm sure you make out very well in the bargain. I've received a put on the glasses, which is the hallmark of this channel. It is a bright, sunny morning here, so I don't think I've ever worn the glasses at an appropriate time, but I'll put these on for a few minutes. I think, what do I say in the channel reward thing? 15 minutes? I'll do 5 or 10 minutes of glasses. So Darren having a good think here with this rack. Definitely worth looking through a whole bunch of areas of the board with that blank. Both players starting out with 15 minutes, and if you draw a blank, it's perfectly natural to spend a little bit of extra time just going through as many options as you can with that blank, going through the alphabet. What would I do if it was an A, a B, a C, and all the way on down? So it takes a lot of time when you have a blank, and he is expending that time, and I really like the play he's come up with. That's not the highest scoring play, but I think it's probably the best play for him here. So very, very nice idea. Now let me see what happens when we cut to this, and I'm just going to fix the nameplate on Akshay, and then I think we'll be good to go. There we go. Okay. And obviously the round info is not correct yet, and we'll get that squared away. But now, fortunately, you guys can see the nameplates up there a little cleaner. And now I will have Quackle ability. Alvine, nice play. I think he left an I on that. Is that true? So, wow. All right, so if we just cut to Quackle, the highest scoring play on that previous hasteful turn was hateful and goel on the opposite side of the board right here. Excuse me. So we'll go here. But there was actually, can somebody confirm I missed it doing the graphics? Did Akshay just leave an I on Alvine, or did he leave a different letter? Does anybody know that for sure? I think it was an I, and if so, check this out. So I have Quackle choices that I can cut to, and he had an incredible play through the L and S of obviates of villainies. Yeah, it looks like Wabin might have seen that. Nice find. But Alvine, certainly a strong play, failing that. As we see Fix be played pretty quick, that looks like a nice idea, scoring really, really well with that X. Let's see, we can get the names adjusted. And ISC names, Akshay B versus Darren Koo. Yeah, so that would have been incredible. But really, if you're going to miss a 9 like that, that's not the worst time to do it because he still made a really, really strong equity play. So it's not a miss that should cripple him. Some 9s, when you miss them, it's disastrous. Not this time, I don't think. So, oh, did he have Boffin available there as well? That would have been pretty interesting scoring play. Keeping the X behind, that might have been worth it. Got to make sure I hydrate here. Voice can't be cracking 12 minutes into gameplay. Okay, so you see the score. Darren is ahead by a solid margin. Akshay opts to play yaw. That seems like a pretty strong play. It leaves 2 R's, the only problem. So he had 2 R's behind. He might have opted to just play something right here, like Rye. That would have used up one of the R's that he had. The objective of such a play of using the R's up would just be that he has a likelier chance of bingoing with Goer or through these through tiles of Alvine. I think if he sheds one of those 2 R's. Alchemist 9189, I have a guess as to who that is. Welcome, Michael. Thank you very much. Doing our best here to give some great coverage of an event that is in your legacy, for sure. This is a clear inspiration, clearly inspired by the Alchemist Cup. We're doing our best to keep that tradition alive as best we can with social distancing and travel ground to a halt. So Darren is narrowly ahead. He has a bingo on his rack, but it's not clear that it plays anywhere. So you can see that, yeah, he's not got any bingos here. Here are the static equity plays that are favored in this position. You could see that just boho through the H of Hasteful. So I know, by the way, that the numbers of Quackle do not match up with the numbers of ISC, so I'm going to be doing my best to point those out when I can. So you can see boho here would be a pretty solid way to burn your weakest bingo tiles and score decently well. But there are a number of plays here that he may be, I mean, he's clinging to a small lead. It's really not enough to go into full blocking mode. He could play just BOO right here. If he feels after yaw. So basically Akshay playing yaw. Okay, he plays boho, which I definitely respect as maybe the best play. He could, some players may have seen yaw and opted to go into defensive mode, but instead Akshay hits that bingo. He plays Encierro. That would have played with Goer and Cornier anyway, so he was definitely bingoing no matter what. And it looks like 2 bingos through the O of obviates, but neither fit. That is unfortunate for Darren. He's close. He's definitely close to a bingo. He has 2 racks, sorry, 2 hooks for GOE right here on the board. So that will be his lifeline back into the game. Oh yes, the U of Seducive also painfully close to the bingo of Trainful. So there are no bingos here for Darren, but he has good chances, and he also has a good way to score with his F, his highest scoring letter. He can just plop it down right there for a pretty good score. So we'll see what he opts to do. That looks like a pretty reasonable choice. But yeah, no inflator or flat iron through those O's or trainful through the U of Seducive. He's going to have to make a non-bingo play. Oh, wow. I wanted to ask you if you considered manually adding a graphic to reverse the numbers. No, I didn't, and that is genius. I absolutely could and should do that. It's not hard to do. I can just superimpose the correct letters where they're supposed to go. I will have that. That's a great suggestion, and I will swap that on future broadcasts. So we see Tiff be played. That's one of those situations where he literally could have played Tiff, Riff, or Niff, or Raff, or Naff, and like it's very unclear which of those plays would have been best. If we just do a quick sim, I wonder what Quackle thinks about this. So Darren shows Tiff, and it looks like Tiff is doing pretty well here. I guess the nice thing about Tiff is that it keeps both of the hooks to GOE, so you have a higher percentage chance of hitting something that plays there. I don't know. It could just be that leave has slightly better synergy than the rest. I think I would have chosen Nif there just on synergy alone between ART, not keeping that LN combination. Okay, we see Blay be played now. That is a strong play. It would have been great if it reached a little bit further and blocked the GOE hooks. Yes, we're back. I think it's possible that the cutting to Quackle is something that I need to not, maybe I should put it in the round area, just because I think it's causing my camera to flip out when I do that. Anyway, we're back. It was just my OBS freezing because my camera, when I'm popping it on and off due to Quackle, it's not coming back, I guess, sometimes. So anyway, let me catch up to the action here. I think I'm a few rounds behind on my Quackle. Why don't I just not worry about that and do the actual commentary? Okay, so you can see that. Oh, nice play by Darren there. Are people seeing me okay? I'm not seeing any lag now that I'm back. It was just my OBS freezing trying to do the Quackle thing. So we're working out the kinks on the first broadcast. I'm doing a few things that haven't done or tried before, so good time to try them is the opening game of the opening round. So yeah, just to catch up a little bit, I'm sure you guys saw what's going on. Basically, Darren played off his F for a bunch of points. Akshay played Blay, making Lex, not quite blocking the GOE hook, which didn't end up mattering because Darren bingoed with Nurular. Akshay, with a bit of a clunky rack, plays Vanda and Greist, and Darren with a beautiful play of Monody. Yes, I could. That's true. I could put it back in the... Hold on, do I have my... Yeah, I have these correct. Although it's not adjusted right. So there we go. Scrabbler27, thank you for the follow. You've come to the right place with a name like that. We will be streaming Scrabble all day. And by we, I mean not just myself, but also Evans Clinchy will be streaming at Coco Scrabble, twitch.tv/Coco Scrabble. And Jeremy Koo will also be streaming, maybe tomorrow, actually. And then also Benji Scrabble will be streaming tomorrow. So we've got a team of the four of us bringing you Scrabble content all weekend. First team to 13, Benji. But yes. So Akshay plays Gara for 44. That scores really well, but it only gives him a 7-point lead. And it does feel like Darren has tempo that might get him through here. Thank you to Madsnificent for the follow as well. So this is going to be tough for Akshay to pull this game out just because the board that had been so open, we had seen the through tiles of Alvine, the go hook, all of that is gone. And pretty much this sevens lane, maybe getting lucky. I mean, you can still get lucky and hit these letters, as we see Jot be played for 32. So Akshay has drawn the Z, which is helpful. Oh, he's going to play. Oh, wow. At the very least, I see he has a play of Wizir right here that's going to score a ton of points. And the beautiful thing, if he plays Wizier in that spot, is that there are no vowels left in the pool that can play alongside the W that's going to go here. So you'll see that this area, this triple lane, will be completely inaccessible for Darren if he sees that play. Yeah, that is an excellent Tim Weiss play with the swap of the W for the V, or I guess Winter is the original. And Tim's taken it to a great extra degree. So that looks pretty good, unless I'm missing a play that slots the Z in that spot. The great thing about that play is it just scores so many points. That's true. It does open Q spots, but I think you can live with just a small Q play. Actually, quickly disconnecting. This is the second time he'll be back, I assume, in just a minute. We'll make sure to get that game followed right away. All right, they're back. And we will see what he comes up with here. I just think, given his deficit, he's down 25, but that play is going to score a very large amount, 12, 13, 26, 52. So we see it go down, and as we pointed out, wow, it would have been really helpful to Darren if he had both of those vowels remaining. Instead, he only has one, and you can see at the bottom of your screen the tiles left, AGNPP. That should probably be enough for Akshay to just score enough on his next move somewhere to stay ahead. Just because Darren with that Q is simply not going to be able to use enough tiles anywhere while also using that Q. I mean, what can he do? Every time he plays the Q, either he doesn't play very many tiles or he has to use his lone vowel if he plays something like Quim or Quid in that spot. I think it should be enough for Akshay to just play anything like Pan here or Nag or Pang here. There's just enough places for him to score decently that I think he's going to sneak ahead in this game. Very, very exciting. So yeah, notes for next time for me: figure out a way so that the Quackle window doesn't minimize my camera, because I think that freezes it when it goes off and comes back on. Yeah, so he just dumps his Q, holding on to his vowel, which looks like a reasonable idea. And I think just based on the remaining tiles that Darren just kept of DDMTTU, which you now see at the bottom, it's going to switch back and forth depending on whose turn it is. So right now it's Akshay's turn. The letters in the bottom left are Darren's tiles. So obviously he's not going out with that, whereas Akshay is definitely going out in 2 and scoring decently in the process. So it looks like Akshay is going to be the winner of our first feature game. So I'm obviously going to try my best to get as many of the other games' results as I can. I think the players will be reporting results. I'm not sure if I need to refresh the match results page on Coco, so we're going to work on that. I'm going to try to get... Oh, nice play right there. Pang for 27. I didn't even see that spot as a really good scoring play. So that looks quite nice. 27 points. Clunky letters for Darren, who played very well in this game. He made a number of plays that we really liked. Hasteful, definitely the best bingo. Monody with the goey hook that took a nice lead. It just happened that he sort of ran into trouble with his Q and consonant overload, and Akshay is going to sneak ahead at the very end. My pleasure. Yeah. So this is just round one. We're going to have a bunch more. I think I've fulfilled my sunglasses requirement. Thank you, Benji, for that. Yes. So let's see. I just wonder, are the players are they waiting for all the results to finish? Okay, as we see ping go down, and that's going to end the game. Solid win for Akshay there. Let's pop back to this screen, and I just want to see what other games are in progress. Let's have a look at Ganesh. Wow, okay. So obviously I do not have the nameplates correct, but we are just switching on over to one of the other games still in progress, and boy, this one looks like a tricky one. So it looks like an upset brewing here. So you can see Juggernaut, that is the top seed of Malaysia, of Ganesh. Oh yes, I will switch the country labels again. There you go. Thank you. Got to get into the habit of that. I just have a quick hotkey for that. So, wow, interesting. So, Nutlet is played. I think Ganesh probably just looking to go out in 2, but unless he has some big idea for DT, I think that Aditya is going to be able to come out ahead here with a big upset, which obviously that'll happen. Aditya, a strong player in his own right. At least that's how it's looking to me. Maybe I'm missing. Obviously, we're just joining this game in progress. Oh, cool. All right, let me see the match results. Where are you see that it's on that page, the live coverage page? I'm not seeing it yet. I wonder why. I'm refreshing it pretty quickly, but it's not a big deal. I can just get the standings from people on ISC. Wow, so it looks like an upset special here. I think most of the games have been completed. Let's go over to the matchup coverage screen. That poll is no longer relevant. Actually, what we can do now, while I get the results tabulated, you guys can vote on the round 2 streaming matchup that you would like. So you can see I've got all these polls ready to go. This is now an active poll for round 2. You can see the round 2 matchups. Oh God, Gideon got the glasses, which, all right, I'll put those on once we get rolling here. So, all right, is this... Okay, let me see. So we just saw a win for Akshay over Darren. That's round 2, G1. I believe people were saying in the chat that Nakul defeated... Oh, Nakul... Oh, maybe I have the seeds wrong, because I didn't think that Nakul was supposed to play Andrew. So there's something wrong that I will need to fix. Either that or the players just did the wrong thing. So yeah, okay. So it looks like a good Andrew versus Sherwin. So based on what you guys are saying, which is that apparently Nakul played Andrew in the first round. So that means my seedings are incorrect. I was just going by the Coco. Seedings. So we'll just see what players are playing. So hold on, let me get that poll back up. So you guys want to see Sherwin and Andrew. Let's see who Sherwin is playing. Okay, so Sherwin is playing Cedric. So I think... Oh, they slotted Cedric into Martin's seed. Okay, I got it. Okay, I understand. So my polls are going to be slightly off now, but that's okay. We can fix that really quickly. They didn't bump Cedric down in seedings. There we go. Okay, so I have fixed that now globally. So we will have that squared away. Sorry, we're still figuring out, I guess. That was a win. Cedric versus Udayan. Let's get that result. For some reason, I'm not getting any match results on the Coco page. Are you guys seeing those? I just I don't understand. Is there a publicly available place to see the results, or do I have to find them? All right, let me see. Looks like a win there. Sherwin. I guess Benita just beat Sherwin. So this will get easier over time. And we just saw Aditya with a big upset. Okay, so it looks like India off to a strong start. Obviously, all right, so I feel a little bit behind. So we can see here that the game between Sherwin and Cedric is already well underway. So I think maybe we can sort of crowdsource this, and when if you guys are watching along on ISC and you see a game completed that's not on the stream, maybe if you guys type that in the chat, it'll be really helpful for me rather than for me to have to go look at every single person's history. Anyway, we will stick with this game. This is between Sherwin and Cedric Lewis. And India is now up 4-1 after the first round. So that is a strong start for India for sure. Definitely like to see that from them. Okay, let's get back to this game and try to get situated. The top player is Sherwin. Sherwin Rodriguez, and the bottom player is Cedric Lewis. All right. Let's cut to that screen. Oh, right. And Sherwin's score is not set correctly. Okay. All right. So we're going on the fly. There's no downtime. Just for the just to defend myself here. Usually in a tournament, there are many minutes before games start, but we're not having the players stop. We just want them to play at their own pace. So it's Mud Heap. That looks like a hold to me. Wow. Okay. I didn't like Mud Heap. And Diethers. Oh, flags are... No, the flags are correct now, I think. Right? Maybe on the other screen they were swapped. So Mud Heap, not a word. Cedric does not even bat an eye and just plays his bingo. I think I would have liked to see just a sanity challenge on that. You're still getting your bingo no matter what. So... and if people want to follow along on here, we will. So I'm learning basically, maybe I have too many graphics that need updating if the players are going to be just going off to the races very quick. So that's good to know. I will try to be more streamlined later. For the time being, just bear with me. Feminacy, beautiful play. Okay, so Mud Heap being challenged off would have been pretty huge right there, just to prevent the draw that just ensued of Feminacy. Look at this board. Oh my god. 1, 2, 3, 4. A ton of bingos. Looks like 5 bingos. I don't know how many turns have been played, but it looks like the majority of those plays are bingos. So, question from Ali O'Shea. I think for the first round, at least for today, at 9 p.m. my time. So right now it's 8:30 a.m. At 9 p.m., roughly 12 hours from now, I'm just going to be streaming my end of the U.S. games. So it's going to be 5 games of Will Anderson, which I totally respect. That might not be ideal for players that want to see some of the other amazing players on the U.S. team. So as the tournament gets a little bit further, there will be people that aren't me covering the U.S. teams in a more egalitarian way, where you'll see people that are not me. In fact, maybe exclusively, because as much as I love the world having to see me and only me, I am only the 4th seed on the U.S. team, and Dave Wiegand is the 5th seed. So it's a very, very strong squad, and there are a lot of great players to watch. All right, what's happening here? Cedric has just gotten hit with a really big and improbable bingo of Feminacy. And he has low scoring tiles, and it doesn't look like a bingo, but at the very least, he has this S lane where if he fishes and hits it, he'll be right back in the game. Both blanks are unseen. You can see that at the bottom of the screen. Also, the Z is still unseen right here. Oop, it was bad circling, but you can see that will play in this spot right here. Or, I mean, the Z actually plays in a number of places. Here. So, definitely possible from Cedric's perspective, even though he may not have a bingo right now. He can certainly fish and hit a bingo in the Z and win the game with relative ease if Sherwin doesn't have anything super strong. So we'll see what he opts to do. Obviously, the players, they're pretty far into the game and now just cresting the 10-minute mark, both of them. Cedric was higher than 10 going into this turn. He's giving it a good think. He plays Lion, which is interesting because that blocks both spots for the Z. That might have been what he wants to do. He may want to block the Z in both spots and then hit a bingo of his own. Sherwin has the first of the 2 blanks, though. The Z, yeah, the Z, I apologize. I can try to substitute that. It's definitely many, many years of ingrained calling it not the Z. But if we have a strong preference for Z, I will do my absolute best. So I see a couple bingos. Like I see there might be something better. I see Ecdyses right here with lions. That's going to be a tricky find. Maybe I can give the Z a totally different name from those 2. Like the Zazu. I could call it the Zazu. Wow, there it is, Ecdyses. Very nice. That puts Sherwin up by 99. And of course, with already a strong bingo rack, Cedric's drawn the second blank. I think he would have preferred to so obviously the best play, anybody that knows me right now, is Retinas. Retinas is the best play for sure. He plays Fairyist, which scores better and has positional advantages over Retinas, but it is still not as good as Retinas. That's an inside joke for those that watch my YouTube channel. Okay, so Fairyist gets Cedric a fair way back from his deficit, but he will need help right now, and he could easily get it in the form of a Z play. There's definitely, well, I guess there's no E's. I was thinking he could play his Z here, but there's no E left for him to draw Yes in that spot. So, and it gets blocked anyway, pretty well. And instead of drawing the Z, Cedric's drawn the Q and a bunch of clunk to go with it. So that looks like a nearly fatal draw. So really that mud heap turn is looming really large. Cedric played Diethers in like 1/10 of a second after mud heap. Oh yeah, sorry, never mind. That's not fatal to him. He can just play his cute for 40. So that was definitely premature on my part. He scores 40 with his Q, and now if he draws the J and the Z and the X, none of which Sherwin has, he can easily outscore his way back into this game. So that was like the J scores right here really, really well. So that looks pretty good. Yeah, Weibin, it's not very active. I need to make it more active. I have a lot of ideas. It seems like most streamers, certainly in chess that I've seen, have really, really active YouTube channels, and they use the two channels to drive traffic to one another. So that's something I definitely want to get started on doing, adding some cool Scrabble content to my YouTube channel. But yeah, that J looms really large. Wow, bad drawing. But any play with JU or JA, like just Jags or Jugs, is going to score a ton there. And Sherwin doesn't really have a great way to block that spot. So if Cedric just drew the J, that's going to be a lot for Sherwin to handle. So I was just writing off Cedric there. But that was really premature, like I said. So he's clinging to a tiny lead. Sherwin is, with only 1 point tiles on a board that offers very weak opportunities for bingoing. This is a tough one. I think in his shoes, I would probably try to use as many tiles as I can for whatever score I can get. If there's some kind of like, I'm looking for basically, oops, excuse me. I'm looking for an underlap here that scores as much as I can get. Sure, we can do that. Yeah, maybe yellow. I had purple just because it's the cocoa color, but I'm definitely happy to do that. Let me give that a shot right now and see what you guys think. Tiles unseen. Let's make it a nice bright yellow. That looks better. That does look better. Yeah, that's nice and bright. Easy to see. I could do white. Actually, also the recent moves thing could stand to be. I'll make that white too. Yeah, why not? That's probably easier to see. Let's get a look at white. I mean, this is a really tricky turn for Sherwin. We can just we can just wait for him to do his due diligence. I really don't see a play that looks satisfying. I'm sure he's continuing to look for one, but this may boil down to hoping for the best that he picks up some of those powerful JXZ. Amazingly, he makes a play of trio for 18 that looks like about as much as he can get. Tetri, yes, good point, Benji. So Tetri in that spot, right here, would have been really, really helpful. Jeremy, what I did for that was I have both color key and color correction. So the color correction is just I just quickly change the color. The color key is just to drop out the rest, which is what you taught me. And then I added a color correction feature that lets me change the color immediately. So there we go. Okay, so amazingly, as I was saying, Sherwin plays trio. Benji pointed out Tetri in this spot right here, which would have been slightly better. That's a tough overlapping play. Benji finds plays like that so frequently. So that might have been a small improvement. But incredibly, Cedric does not have any of the... Oh, wow. Look at that. That is amazing. So incredibly, after his play of trio, Sherwin drew on a 4-tile draw, JXZ, but incredibly, he did not draw an A or a U to play with Upo or Apo. So he drew the J, which must have been great to see that he's not going to get hit with that. But then all of a sudden, Cedric literally just played almost all of the vowels that he needed to pair with the J to play in that big spot. And now he's got too many power tiles to use effectively. Very interesting. So at the very least, he will have something like JIZ right there. That's going to be good. I wonder what else he'll... Yeah, so just that will still probably get him over the finish line because he'll have that. And then Cedric won't be able to go out and he'll be able to play his X anywhere on his next turn. But that is a really surprising draw and sequence. So let's see what happens. You know, it's kind of an interesting end game anyway. But yeah, just that big play in that spot should still be enough. He's only down by 7, so he's going to be up a lot now. So yeah, that is pretty interesting. Okay, I'm now seeing the standings coming up on the website. Maybe not everybody's doing them. So we do see that play. We do see Jizz go down. No comments from the peanut gallery on that, please. Especially not with the debate raging. Bugong, that's a nice play. I think that's good, right? That looks right. That's a pretty solid play, but oh wow, I didn't even see that cool spot for the X. So that was probably Cedric's best idea, but it's just too much. Drawing JXZ out of the bag looked a little dangerous to me at first. Thanks for the follows, Anuj and Spherulytic. I have guesses as to who both of those people are. Welcome. All right, so it looks like another win for India there. So if we go over to our matchup coverage screen, you can see, we don't need this poll right now, but you can see that after round 1, it was a 4-1 lead for India over Malaysia, and we've just seen our feature matchup in this game of Cedric versus Sherwin. That's also gone to India. So let's see what other games are in progress. That I would guess that's one of the first games to finish. So let me see. What was another game that did well in the poll? Hold on. Let's get the poll back up. Ganesh versus Nakul. Let's see how those two are doing. And we will cut back to this screen. Looks like the flags are correct. And this is going to be a win for Ganesh to get Malaysia back on the right track. My view on the debate, oh man, let's not get into that. I want today to be just a joyful Scrabble day as opposed to dragging it down with that stuff. I wouldn't say that I even have that strong of a view about what should have been done to the lexicon, but I think the way it was done was a little off. But let's try to have a joyful Scrabble experience today on the stream. All right, so while we watch this game wrap up, let me see if I can get some of those results keyed in. So this is between Ganesh and Nakul. It's definitely going to be a win for Malaysia. Does anybody... I think most of the other games are still in progress, so... yeah, it looks like Nakul is going to bingo out probably with restages, but I don't think he will have... He obviously knows that that's not enough to overcome the gap, and I bet what he's doing here is he's looking through the G of Dorising, or maybe a 9 through the EG, which I don't think exists. So if he doesn't find that, he's just going to bingo out to lose by a smaller margin. Let's see what's happening between Darren and Aditya. Wow, Aditya is up huge in this game. So after his opening round upset of Ganesh, Aditya is just hammering Darren in this game. It looks like Runagate, Guy Lines, Pawners, Scarded, 4 bingos. So that's pretty impressive that the number 5 seed of India is about to take down the number 1 and number 2 seeds of Malaysia back to back. Barring something completely insane, of course. Yes, true, the flags. I could probably just hide the flags if I'm just going to pop from game to game. But I do need to get in the habit of switching them in a timely manner. Let's see if we can find a game that's close here. So that game is almost sure to be another win for India. How about Vanita and Akshay? Yes, I see. Again, I have to change the graphics. There we go. Okay, this is a nice, interesting game. Let's get this poll out of here again. So, all right. Now we've got something to sink our teeth into. Wow, Hand Writ. You see a beautiful bingo of Hand Writ, which was played by Akshay, and then Vanita plays Take and hooks it with Hand Right. That's pretty fun. But here it looks like she's facing kind of a difficult decision. She has a narrow lead and tiles that don't score or offer her promising bingo chances. So I wonder what she'll opt to do. Basically, she has to identify what the most pressing threat is to her here. If there's a Z spot or anything like that. Nice play. That's a really good play. So she plays Chow in just a great scoring spot. Getting 28 points out of that rack is that's a really solid play. So she is up by enough points now that Akshay is sort of committed to bingoing. And luckily for him, he's got really good tiles to do it. But I guess the problem is that the spot that looks like the best bingo lane on the board doesn't really work well with his S's. So he kind of has to... Oh, actually, if he keeps both S's... Oh, right. No, this is a much better spot. Sorry. Just keep all these different hooks. A, E, S. So... Where I'm not seeing that Koita play. Where did that play? Just to the R Rupiah. Anyway, Akshay uses both his E's. That's interesting. So he used up both of his E's to score 32. I like scoring 32 for sure, but keeping those E's would have really increased his bingo chances. I wonder what he could have done other than that. Maybe, I don't know. Nothing in that spot would have scored nearly as well if he didn't burn at least the second E right here to get to the double word score. But I don't know. That's tricky. Now he's really hurt his chances of bingoing by spending both. Let's see. Any other games that we have to check in on? Let me just see. Andrew and Udayan is another one. Let me get some. They are looking at their game right now. Just let me really quickly hop over to that and see who was the winner. Actually, I don't even need to do that. It looks like Grover was the winner. Another win for India. That is awesome. So India off to a really hot start here. This is going to be a critical game for Vanita to hold on to because it's looking like India is off to the races here. So that's another one for India. So basically, right now, I can adjust the standings because this is the last game of round 2 yet to come in. Let me see. And right now it is 7-2. So Malaysia needs this win in a big way to sort of stay in touch. And I think I'll just do this for ease of... There. just to make it easier to do the graphics. Oh, whoops, sorry, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so Payet. That looks great, I think. So sorry, folks. Payet blocking all of those hooks on now. That looks like a really, really nice play. So I think, did that actually, I guess it didn't technically block the bingo that Akshay has of similar, just because amazingly, none of those hooks actually quite fit on the board. Am I going to be streaming all day? Well, not exactly. There will be streaming all day, but not all of it will be me. If we just quickly pop back to the broadcast schedule, you can see, so I am the first broadcast up today. Nigeria versus Pakistan in a few hours, brought to you by Evans. And then once again, Evans with Ireland and New Zealand. And then tonight I come back for United States versus the Philippines. So that's today is going to be me, Evans, me, and then tomorrow we'll have Jeremy and Benji streaming their matches. Suggestion of just dumping the eye. That's interesting. So there's 2 in the bag. Obviously, the reason that you would just dump the 1 tile, if you just play it right there in this spot to create another lane and not empty the bag. The problem with that is if Vanita has BZ, she'll just be able to, a lot of the time, she'll just be able to play a really big, if she has the Z, is that going to outrun eventual bingos? She's up by 42. Pi only scores 4. If you, oh, well, there it is. Oh, but she has Azo ties. Oh my God. So this is a wrap. So absolutely tough break for Akshay, but huge for Malaysia there to get a win on the board. So after 2 rounds, that's going to be the last round to come in. And that is going to be a big, big win for Malaysia. So you can see a huge round 1 and 2 for India, but we've got 3 more rounds to go. It just takes 1 round to go mostly Malaysia's way, and they are right back into it. So it looks like a kind of a nice early lead, but it's not big enough for Malaysia to rest on their laurels at all. All right, let me see. It looks like other rounds have started their games. So let me just get that poll up and we'll see which round you guys want me to focus on primarily. I think, again, some of these are going to be reversed. I think basically from here on out, Andrew and Cedric are actually reversed in these polls from where they should be. So you see, this is a round 3 streaming matchup. As I'm seeing this, I know you guys aren't because we're on this screen, but Vanita easily going to be winning this game. So people can weigh in on what game you'd like to see. Looks like a bunch of requests for Ganesh and Udayan to start. Wow, okay, so 7 or 8. Okay, this is amazing. Not a single vote for anybody else. Okay, so that should pretty much clinch it. I don't think we really even need the poll much longer, so we'll get you guys what you want to see. For sure. So we'll start that up. Vote for number 6. Okay, so yeah, 3. So far, Malaysia 3, India 7. I had predicted a close match, and there is still time. Oh, thank you. Yes, round number. It is round 3. Thank you for that. So 2 rounds in the books. We're up to round 3. I'm getting my cadence. I'm trying to remember the flags. Okay, those 2 guys just started up. We can join this from the get-go. Okay. So, thankfully, I've finally caught a game at the start, which we can really get into this from an analysis perspective, and it looks like Ganesh going first in the game. Don't think he has a bingo, so he just needs to come up with something that scores decently. Options, I guess he could play How do you vote for will versus flag updating? Well, the flags are correct now. So he plays Kopita. That looks pretty good. The only issue with it, I guess, thanks for the follow, to B.A. Swarindam. Only issue with Kopita is just it gives back high scoring counters with certain tiles, but Grover does not have those tiles. Oh, Diane, I should say. Yes. So what will he do? He can't play parallel. I guess just something from the E. He could play Cavi, something like that. It's not going to be very satisfying for him, but that's a possibility. Yeah, it really doesn't look like there's anything good parallel. I guess all I'm looking for Udayan to do here is use up his V and as many of the vowels as he can. So we'll see what he elects to do. Oh, let me get that back. Coeval, that could be a good idea. I like that. Leaving EI, that's okay if it fills out with consonants. All right. So I'm now, I think, ready. To move to the other screen as well. Perfect. All right. Leave an LI to get the hotspots. You could do that, I suppose. Oh yeah, Levo, that would be interesting. So if you're worried about Ganesh drawing the high scoring letters there, which he does not do. So, okay, so we saw Coeval suggest it. That looks as good as anything else here, I would say. Ganesh drawing, what did he leave on Kopita? A D. So he drew UY to that, and I'm sure he'll be looking to shed at least some of D, U, and Y here. I guess Dia on top of Kopita looks pretty good right there. Taking up those scoring spots, and also, well, putting the A there creates another one. But he plays Yod instead. Just going for maximum. So I said, hopefully he can try to get rid of the Y, the U, and the D, and he does that. So other option could have been, like I said, just playing parallel to Kopita with DIYA, Dia, but he goes for maximum equity, maximum bingo chances. So seeing that pattern of so far, Ganesh is just saying pedal to the metal. I don't care what you have, and that works for him. So yeah, it looks like Udayan has too many vowels to bingo with, but I'm sure he's got something good through the D. Just trying to imagine, is there anything better than like Dulea? Leaving the P, I'm not sure. It's so funny that now, several turns into the game, I was, fretting about the parallels to Kopita, but neither player has. So it's going to be okay. There is Dulea, and Ganesh has drawn a bingo, and I'm sure it's going to be played very quickly. I didn't mind that play of Dulea. Anybody seen anything better? So my guess is that. Thank you for the follow to Shub Hayes. Shuba, yes, I can see. I can block that off correctly. Sorry about that. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. So yeah, Ganesh has the normal word headier. He plays it there. And kind of a nice. So at the very least, there will be plays right here, like just Kemp right here scores a ton. It doesn't look like, I don't think there's a bingo here, but he will. Yeah, I don't know about Dulea. It leaves just a P. It scored 27. I just that was a tough one. It might be as good as anything that was available there. Yeah, it doesn't feel good, but it might be the best or among the best. So yeah, Headier for 83 puts Ganesh up solidly. He gets the first bingo down. Oh, Oedipal. That's another idea for sure. Yeah, a bunch more points, leaving a worse letter. So good tiles here. Nice to see the S. And there's Kemp for 45. So that's definitely, really like to see that here. And back to Ganesh, who has clunky. He's got two. Well, what should I? Some of my normal channel point redemptions are not really appropriate. I'm not going to go play with my cats in the middle of this broadcast. This is serious Scrabble, Benji. A lot of my other channel point redemption options are just not right for this event. We're trying to be serious and bring the world some high level Scrabble. I could do that. So yeah, Ganesh with a V and a G and two T's. So kind of clunky. Maybe just vomit through MI. I think the nice thing about that for Ganesh is if he were to play vomit through the MI right here, that's helpful to prevent possible plays that Udayan could come back with there by putting the T in this spot. That looks like a really good way to take the sting out of plays down there, and it also uses up your V and one of your T's. So that looks like a pretty good idea. Maybe there is a better one. When both players reach triple digits, I'll pop back over to my other screen, and there it is. Okay, so I like that idea. Wow, okay, so Kemp left INS, and Udayan drew INNS. So that's one of those draws that's going to get the ISC people fuming, but that is, if you've played enough live Scrabble, it happens that way too. So, boy, that's going to be tricky. Yeah, this would be a great poker Scrabble hand, Scrabble poker. I wonder if that has ever been tried. But yeah, I think basically the trick here for him is going to be just don't. I would not use my S in this spot right here, just because that is easily the best spot for it. Wherever he plays, I'm not sure. Yeah, see, that's I wouldn't have done that. It plays into Ganesh's hands. Although now he is going to. I mean, Ganesh is going to bingo through there, which he was going to do anyway. But even if he didn't have a bingo, that plays into his hands quite a bit with a lead. So he'll play beatings or beasting here. Let me just see. Oh, Ganesh's score is actually going to be... There. Okay. Okay, I think all the flags and stuff are correct. He plays beasting, which I think that takes an S. So the question will be, is Udayan confident enough in the S hook of that to play it now? Although he can just play something with Lins instead. So beasting goes down for Ganesh, who's up by over 100. To his leave of INS, Udayan drew the first blank. So the question for him will be, is he confident in the S hook of this, or is he going to play something with like Resolin? Right, he can play Resolin and Lins right here. Yes. Oh, Muffin with Tentacle beaten slightly to the punch by Benji Scrabble. Two people I don't know very well in the chat. So yeah. Basically, he's got to decide as quickly as he's comfortable So the sticky S was actually bee stings. That is a TWL word, but bee sting without the S is not, which I'm sure it will. I feel like that's a gaming word. When you get beasted, it means you just got crushed by somebody. Or if you are beasting, it means you are crushing people, playing like a beast, which Ganesh is doing in this game so far. So yes, again, you can see so far 2 really strong opening rounds for Malaysia and India. Or rather, I should say 2 really strong rounds for India in particular. With a 4-1 win in round 1 and a 3-2 win in round 2. Looks like a disconnect for Udayan. I'm sure he'll be back in just a minute. And we'll re-examine the game when that happens. No, I don't think it's a rage quit. It's certainly not a rage quit holding a blank. I wonder if that's happened. Anybody's ever rage quit a game of Scrabble holding a blank in a not decided game. Okay, he's back. Let me get it back. There we go. Yeah, I wonder though, actually, what's better for the board, right? Like if you're at all unsure of bee stings, which, first of all, are there any actual good plays with the S in that spot? Because Resolin actually has some better. Okay, Iron Eyes. But Resolin had some advantages, right? Had he played Resolin in that spot, it makes another lane there for 7s, and then Resiling could eventually play as a hook with the G. So it kind of makes 2 lanes, whereas this looks like it's going to be potentially possible for Ganesh to cut the board down a little more effectively. But it's hard to fault Iron Eyes. It's definitely a strong play. It scores a fair bit better too than Resolin, something like 10 points. So I think it's perfectly defensible. Just playing devil's advocate a little bit. It's probably the best play or among them. Ganesh is definitely closer. Thanks for the follow, Meta Newbie. Hope you enjoy the stream. We are in round 3 of the opening matchup of the Virtual World Cup between Malaysia and India. After 2 rounds, India is up 7-3. Probably the most impressive performance so far. Aditya Iyengar of India with wins over the number 1 and number 2 seeds of Malaysia, Ganesh and Darren. That is the difference right now. So Ganesh is holding on to a narrow lead in this game. He has a rack that does not pair well through the eye of Iron Eyes. You don't like to have 2 eyes on your rack when you're trying to play through an eye on the triple lane. So I wonder what he will do. We've seen, so after Ganesh's opening play of Kopita, that he had other options that might have not scored as well, that didn't put vowels next to these double letter scores. He played Yod when he had options that didn't open a triple. It's possible that he will simply look to balance his rack as best he can and say to Udayan, do your worst through that eye of Iron Eyes. He may be comfortable with that level of risk. If he is, he could play something like a nil right here, ANIL, scoring roughly as well as he's likely to get with 1-point tiles. At some point, something through the V would also score decently. So he plays Rival. That's nice because we saw that he had an S. So he's pumping up the value of his S, and it looks like that was the case S. So that looks like a nice idea. So Ganesh has played Rival just to really pump up the value of the last S in the bag, which he has. So good idea there. I did not spot that as an option. Of course, now Udayan has an easy spot to plop his X down. I think he's probably just going to do his due diligence. He could play fixed. He instead does play fax, That's probably just a better play. I had pointed out fixed up there. It looks like it scores a bunch fewer points, and it uses up his E, whereas fax does not. So I think that looks like the right idea. So to his leave of INS, Ganesh has drawn 4 consonants, which is not ideal. But now he has tin horns available. Good find, guys. And we're pretty sure that he'll find it. Tin horns into an Udayan triple to 9-timer did not quite happen. It could easily have happened, but he didn't draw quite well enough. But basically, after the X bomb, Udayan is still not down by that much, and he should be able to do something to the triple lane here. Even just something like Rigi looks pretty strong through the eye. Right here, just dump Rigi and you leave RED, which is definitely really good. That RED leave is going to fit most of the time when you get a bingo ending in ED. It's going to play there, and it's not even that bad to play from this S as well. So he's got options. So now, after Rival, Ganesh bingoed with the last S. So looming large is obviously going to be who draws that second blank. You see this blank here, right at the bottom of the screen. That S is going to be critical, or it's rather, that blank is going to be critical because that's the last way that somebody will be able to play with Rivals. Could end up mattering in a close game. That's true, yeah. There also is the potential to hit this spot hard with the R's on his rack. Something with like R-A-Y if he had a play, right? So if he had, instead of one of these other consonants, if he had an A, he could play D-Ray there for a ton of points. So you can just notice that the time gap looks like it's widening here. Ganesh can certainly start to push Udayan on time and try to induce some mistakes. So not only is Ganesh up by 67 points, he's up by 3 minutes and counting of time. Oh yes, the ironized hooks. I was remiss in not pointing those out. That looks okay. That looks pretty strong. I guess the only issue is that now, yeah, a play like that, it can come down a lot of the time. But there were open triples all over the place no matter what Udayan did. So I think Dre is actually okay. And Ganesh, as I alluded to, he plays his almost obviously clearly best play of Boogie. I think that's a candle. Is that pronounced Boogie or Bougie? So now, I don't know if this is a great play, but now Udayan does have the play that fits here of Cargo. Yes, good find, Rick. Cargo will play there. It would be great if he could figure out a way to not put a C right here and just threaten more action up the left side of the board. Unfortunately, he may not have that luxury just because Cargo scores so many points, leaving ET. I guess the problem, yeah, I'm just wondering, like, so after Cargo, he's going to score 40-something. He'll be down by 10 or so points, but then any sufficiently defensive play by Ganesh in that spot is going to make bingoing next to impossible. But I think he's going to have to live with that. Yeah, oh wow, okay. So he has played Cargo and just hoped for the best, and Ganesh has drawn so poorly that, all right, he instantly plays Dowf. So there's definitely Ganesh, one of the stronger Blitz Scrabble players out there, is definitely entering Blitz mode to try and pressure Udayan into some mistakes down the stretch of the game. Udayan's drawn the second blank. So that is really, really helpful. And after playing Dowf, which looked like a great way to score and get rid of a lot of those clunky consonants, he's made a great place to play the J. So the J is going to go down and get the score close to even. Oh wait, sorry. I'm rushing here. I shouldn't just say that because there's only one tile in the bag. The game is just going at such a rapid pace. I didn't even realize how close to the end of the game we were. So we got to think now about the fact that there's one tile in the bag, so he has to be really careful. Suggestion of jostle to prevent zest. That would be an interesting idea. So the trick there is that jostle would leave E blank, which pairs pretty well with pretty much any draw except maybe the Q. Oh, jostle does open a huge spot for the Z as well. Okay, yes, good point. So the E in that spot. Well, the spot is only bad if he has ZE. He could technically not have the E, but the odds are very, very good that he gets hit with Z. With Z, sorry, with the Z for 60 points. Wow, okay, so this is a really complicated position, and Udayan only has a minute to think it over, and that is in large part because of Ganesh's pressure. Ganesh has really applied great pressure to Udayan by playing his last few moves quite accurately and almost instantaneously. Yeah, so, okay, people are saying Jeel and just hope, which that makes some sense. Just for the record, Jeel, people are pointing that out as going right here. So playing Jeel there and just hoping for something good and hoping that Ganesh has too much clunk. I think I favor that idea as well. And there it is. Ooh, wow. Ganesh has the Q and no U. The final tile in the bag was a U. Absolutely hosed by that final draw. I wonder, to me, that looks like that's curtains for him. I can't imagine how he's going to win now. He's going to give up too many points in response to Udayan. I think that is a loss no matter what, even though he has a good spot to play his Z. Right, he can play his Z here too, but he's going to give up so many points. And if he plays his Z there, then it's a very simple J play of Junto or Jotun to that spot, and then he's going to catch a ton of points for the Q. Wow, very, very interesting, exciting finish to this game, and a tough one for Ganesh. Man. You know, that's a great play right there. Jeel is just a very, very nice idea by Udayan. I think that was probably his best hope, and he got one of the better tiles he could possibly have gotten out of the bag. The U out of the bag just, yeah, where did he go wrong? It's hard to even imagine a play that was a mistake. So that's just a tough one for Ganesh. Yeah, down goes the Z. He's assessed the situation more or less immediately, correctly, that with his tiles, he's in deep trouble. And now all Udayan has to do is play a valid word, and he should be all right. Wowzers. So that is pretty exciting. Yeah, I'll take these off so that I can see a little bit better. Let me just try and prep the studio mode. Looks like it's going to be a win for India in this game. And there's Joust, and there you see it. That the score right now, 422 to 406, but the Q and everything else is going to pop Udayan into the lead. That is a huge victory for India right there. Let's see, other matches that just occurred. It looks like Andrew Chang defeated Sherwin in his game. And that would be the lowest game. So that's a big win for Malaysia. And Nakul defeated Darren in his game. Thanks for the follows to D Pankar 20 and Ralph. Oh, hey, Rahil. Good to see you. Let's see. So what did I just say? Oh, Nakul versus Darren is going to be a win for Nakul. So more wins coming for India. And let's catch up. That means the other two games that are still coming in are Vanita versus Aditya and Cedric versus Akshay. Let's go see. We haven't seen that much of Vanita and Aditya. So let's look at that game. Let's see how this is going. And Aditya is winning this game as well. Yes, we'll just cut to the backup and we'll name this. And I see the flags are off. I will fix that. There we go. I'm getting the hang of this, folks. I'm getting the hang of this. All right, so right now I will adjust the standings in the middle of things. Malaysia picked up 1 win, but India's picked up 2 more to extend their lead, and we've got 2 more games coming in this round. All right, let's get situated here. This looks like a bad situation for Vanita because Aditya has a lead, and the board is very poor for Vanita's bingo chances. I'm not even seeing a spot for her to get anything down. That may have been a play made simply to stop 9s through UA on the board. I think probably the more dangerous spot. Well, maybe, I mean, depending on the letters available, there may not have been a dangerous spot, but I think there might have been underlaps here, possibly. I don't know. I doubt it. The spread between the 2 countries, I am not sure. I haven't really had time to calculate that. I'm just figuring out who the winners are. But after we're said and done here, we'll definitely try to compile that spread. I think the Coco website is doing that in some kind of automated way. But for now, it's a bit much for me to just keep up with the match record. So hopefully, once the match is complete, we can get some spread information. We'll use that as tiebreaker going forward. So it looks like this is going to be a 3rd win for Aditya, who is really helping the Indian cause here. He has beaten Ganesh, he's beaten Darren, and he's about to beat Vanita. That's the top 3 seeds of Malaysia. So that really does look like it's the difference right now. Barring something insane, I think this will be another win for India. So let's go ahead and pop over to the last game in place. And again, there we'll fix that. And this game is between Cedric and Akshay. And this could be yet another win for India here. And sweep goes down for Akshay as a nice block. And yeah, I think that's pretty likely. I wonder if Cedric even had anything available, possibly to ON. Oh, berated. Berated does play. Oh my god. Is that looks like it could be enough, actually. It's going to score so much. Oh no. That is, we'll just have to see. It's nice block in the chat is being spammed. That's tough because it does look like in general it's a decent block, but I think that might be how much does that score? Oops. 82. And it's gonna be 82 brings him to 419. Yeah, absolutely. That's gonna be enough. So if Cedric spots that play, that will be enough to give a huge win, a life support style win. There it is. Oh well, borated, same difference. Ouch, that is a tough one for Akshay. Oh my god. All right. So that is an absolutely, like I said, a life support giving win for Malaysia. It gives them a chance to at least have a round where they go 4-1 or 5-0 and get back into this. Right now it says 9-5, but there's going to be it's going to be 10-5, barring something crazy in the other game that's yet to finish. Tough one. Yeah, it looks like Akshay might be stunned here. He's not. He may be. Yeah, he may just be stunned. He didn't instantly pass. So yeah, one more game yet to finish in this round. We can cut back to it. Yeah, once again, switch the flags back. So it looks like, yeah, Benita just sort of said, all right, I don't have a bingo, and I think you're going to win. Although I guess it's somewhat close. I think it's still pretty comfortable for Aditya here. So I'm just going to go ahead and get ahead of it and put 10. I think it is 10-5. Yeah, that ought to get the job done. So if we go back to our matchup coverage, this poll is no longer relevant. We will get another poll up for the next round. Let's see what we want to watch in round 4. Once again, the roles of Andrew and Cedric are actually reversed. I didn't realize that. Cedric actually slots in as the number 4 seed today, stepping in for Martin Teo, who was not able to play this weekend. But everybody feel free to weigh in on what you'd like to see in the round 4 streaming matchup as we get some of these other results in. So Cedric coming up with a huge win, but Aditya 3-0. So India has won all 3 rounds so far. And yeah, as expected, Ganesh versus Sherwin is definitely a pretty meaty matchup. So yeah, so far it looks like a total runaway train poll. Ganesh versus Sherwin. I definitely understand why that is an exciting game, and we'll try to catch up with that game as soon as we can. Thanks for the follow to Tasmer Lion. Hope you guys are enjoying the coverage. Obviously, I know it's not been perfect. A couple of lag spikes and getting my graphics right and stuff, but I feel like we're getting the hang of it. We're trying to bring something a little bit different and new with a team event. And I think it's getting smoother as we go. So far after 3 rounds, let me make sure I adjust it. We're into round 4, and India is right on the cusp. So again, each match in the Virtual World Cup consists of, do I not have my, I haven't had my, my slideshow going. Never mind. I was supposed to have the logo. I had minimized it. Hopefully it works. There we go. That's what it should have been doing the whole time, pulsing between the Virtual World Cup logo and the round number. Okay, so we will be, as soon as they get going, Ganesh and Sherwin, the runaway leader. Ganesh is offline right now. He may be taking a break. Hopefully he comes back. Certainly after the draw that we saw him have, that brutal loss, that would be tough, but hopefully he pops back on to play. So for now, I guess while we wait for that, I'll just pop on to one of the games that is currently in progress. We haven't seen Nakul play a lot, so let's look at that. This is between Nakul and Benita. They're just underway. As soon as Ganesh comes back, we'll pop over to that game, which was the winner of the poll, the live streaming matchup, which I think is so emphatic that I can hide the poll. All right. Yeah, Malaysia, I think that's correct. Malaysia needs 2.5 wins or more in order to set up a situation where they can win all 5 in round 5. So it's not over yet, but every game is now critical for them. But again, this is just one of 3 matches that teams will play. We'll cut back to the pool play standings. So you can see every group consisting of 4 teams, Malaysia and India in Group A to your left. So Malaysia is in trouble against India, but if Malaysia beats Thailand and the UK, they will still advance. So you basically just have to be one of the top 2 teams in your group. So every group is stacked with really strong teams. It's going to be very difficult for any of the teams to emerge just because every team is coming at you with 5 really strong players. But yes, 13 wins is the magic number to clinch one of these rounds. So Nakul starts in this game with Wex, and Benita has a blank. Let's see, how do I fix the score is slightly off. So yeah, Ganesh still offline. All right, so we see, I don't think there was a bingo available there, and Benita makes that E hook on Wex and uses up her K. That looks like a pretty good play. Let me get this. There we go. These flags are bothering me that they're slightly off center. There we go. Perfect. So Nakul with the G, P, U, and V, a really, really gross combination. Not sure what he might have here that will get him out of this quickly. He doesn't have great hooks. So yeah, as of right now, Ganesh still not online. So we're going to stick with this game for a little bit. Hopefully he pops back on. Upgiver. So, oh, Perv is pointed out. That's nice. So Perv making Rake, the R hook of EIK. That looks pretty good. The only issue with Perv, obviously, is it takes a lot of hooks. It takes the O and even the E and Y. So I think now Vanita is going to have bingos. I see at least 2 or 3 right off the bat of Comitia and Abiotic and Dacoity, a couple things like that. Oh, Reiki as well. Oh, wow, that's right, Reiki. So now there's going to be words ending in IC that play as a double-double with Reiki. Yikes, that's going to score very well if she spots them. So abiotic, a couple of the words I just mentioned will go down here for 90 odd points. So we'll see if she is able to do that, but if not, there's definitely, if she is not able to come up with a bingo here, the board is still very, very open for them with the different hooks that you guys have pointed out. Let's see, get the matchup going. There. So she's having a good think about it, which that sort of indicates to me that probably she's not seeing them right away, because if she had, they would be played already. Oh yes, dacoity is only good with the K. Sorry, my fault. Yes, that looked a little weird to me when I said it. Thank you. But there are no shortage of valid words that one could play here that would score 90-something points. 91. And yeah, every game is critical here. Wow, okay, so I think that's just... so she found one of the words, but just did not think of the Reiki hook. And we're going to see now if Nakul thinks about that hook himself, because he will... Yeah, there was Pervo as well. But hunting and Reiki is going to be a really easy spot to go down. So yeah, Comitia, where Vanita played it, is actually the lowest scoring bingo. But it is just an issue of the hooks and seeing the hooks. So basically, Nakul has a chance to see the Reiki hook. If he doesn't see it, I think it'll be a pretty sure bet that he sees thunking through the K. That seems like a much simpler word to find if you're not thinking about that hook. So I would expect him to get a bingo down. Still no Ganesh. It's kind of interesting. It's been a while now. Oh yes, Unknight. Also available. Oh, that's simply An anagram of thunking. Thank you for the follow, Harsud. Hope you enjoy the coverage. For those in the chat that are pulling for India, you guys are getting your money's worth here. It's been a great performance for the Indian team so far. Really convincing 10-5 lead so far. There's Ganesh. He's back. All right, so quickly down goes Hunting and Vrau. All right, we're already somewhat invested in this game, so we'll check back in with it. But let's pop over to the Ganesh and Sherwin game, which very, very quickly you can see is it's going fast. So let me see if we can catch up to it here. Also, I need to get the matchup correct. Ganesh. Benji says he's out of shampoo. Oh, that is charming. How my text to speech says the emote title. All right, so we can see that Sherwin going first plays Zaida. That looks like it had to have been correct. Ganesh playing, I'm not sure what he had. He played Wei instead of Yaw, which is a pretty good indicator that he must have had some reason to do that, some hooks of some sort. And Sherwin exchanges just now. And Ganesh with nothing super good with this rack. Okay, so I think we're caught up. All right, so this board is not horrible. There's sevens lanes available right here. You can hit a lane here, and obviously there's a sway hook in that spot. So the only trick is how are you going to shed some of these letters without creating a lot of opportunities for your opponent. You can't. A lot of the good F plays that would play here with Away are not possible to play. They just give too much back on the triple lane. Is it possible that literally just something like EF right here is the play? Leaving Alien? Yes, Tway as well. So a bunch of hooks. Sway, Away, and Tway. Weibin sharing that India beats Singapore in a 10v10 matchup, which Singapore is one of the #1 seeds in this event. So that is pretty telling. It says that the India team may be a little bit of a sleeper as a #3 seed. 51-49. All right, that's pretty close. Very, very close. But nevertheless, the fact that they played on an even, that's a lot of games. It's hard to luck. I mean, that's definitely still enough games, or a low enough number of games per player that there is some chance of luck, but that is still a lot. 100 games, it's hard to get that lucky. So I think it just means that India is pretty strong. I think, and obviously very impressed with Aditya so far. 3-0 record against the top seeds of Malaysia. So Ganesh having a good think here because this is a very tricky position positionally. It's just the problem with it is simply that it's hard to make a play that both creates space. Okay, there's EF. That was sort of the play that I had identified as the least objectionable to me here, if only because you still retain this line to hit. You make another line if you happen to draw a vowel. And it's kind of difficult for Sherwin to do much about those and also score any kind of points at all. Obviously, it's not a move that's going to make you feel happy, but it might have been the best option for Ganesh there. So Sherwin has an S, which we like to see for his cause. But What will he elect to do here? I guess he can make a very similar play. I don't know if this is a all right, so he has a Y for this spot. If he wants to go full on for bingos, he can play things in this spot if he wants to. He can play YE, he can play YA, he can play YAE. All of them have a lot of drawbacks. He can play AYE, that's true. He can play just I. The scary thing about any of those plays is that they all open up the 4-timer lane in some dangerous way, right? So if he plays a 2-tile play here, it opens it up for 7s. If he plays AYE, he's putting literally the worst possible letter that you can put in the double-double lane in E. Anything in 7th position through an E is going to score a ton. And obviously he just played EF, which indicates a lot of strength in terms of his chances of bingoing. You're not playing something like EF with really high clunky point tiles left. So this is tricky. I think in Sherwin's shoes, I would probably still opt to make plays there. I think it's probably worth it just because if you play AYE and Ganesh doesn't hit anything, your chances of getting an S bingo that plays in 2 spots are really high. So you may just have to live with the risk and go for it. I guess if you are not willing to live with the risk, one thing that you could do is, so a good suggestion, how bad is hooking AYES right now? You can play SAI SACE. That looks like the best way to do that. If you play SACE, I can put it on the board. If you play that right now, obviously that is a solid score, and it's far more defensive. I guess the only issue is that putting the C here could potentially get hit harder in scores than in bingos. But the scores that Ganesh is likely to respond to you with after a play like SACE here are all clustered in the 30 to 40 point zone, whereas if you play in this spot with anything, the scores that you're going to get hit with are a combination of low scores and like 90 to 100. So if you think at all costs you want to prevent yourself from getting hit by 90 or 100 point plays, then maybe you should play SACE. But that also greatly limits your own scores on your next turn. So it really is about how much risk you're comfortable incurring. That is a good point, that Ganesh is very unlikely to have had any of with the C, if we're envisioning SACE being considered by Sherwin here, pretty much the worst letter that he could have would be the H, which I think he's never going to be keeping after EF. Okay, very quickly, Sherwin exchanges, and Ganesh responds with aim. So those plays happen really fast. I'm interested by that exchange. I guess he was not willing to alter this board in any way. Wow. Okay, so Sherwin had a good long think on that turn, and he opted to exchange for the second time in a row, actually. And very quickly, Ganesh plays aim, Sherwin draws the Q, and Ganesh bingos first. So that was a very rapid sequence after a kind of a complicated play. So Ganesh gets his bingo down first, but a very strong rack for Sherwin here, and he's definitely going to come back with something good. He's drawn the first blank. So yeah, I think definitely that second exchange, there were plays that I would have preferred to put on the board. Just SACE alone, scoring 30, leaving EY. Yeah, you don't like to give your S up, but it creates a board that is not very good. Any bingo that Ganesh were to draw after that should give a lot of counterplay back, right? If you go back a couple of turns and imagine SACE on the board right here, the only bingos would have been with EF or EFT, bingos with Way that all yield a triple lane back, and then bingos that go here and yield a triple lane back. So tricky. Oh yeah, just leaving the E off could have been a good idea as well. I just immediately thought of playing it because you would have 2 of them, but definitely if you want to play a more positional move there in the sense of not necessarily going for just equity alone. You have two E's, you'd like to use one, but it definitely, improves your position to hold that E off. All right, so Sherwin's got a blank. He's thinking. He probably has tons of options all over the board. It looks like he will have plenty of stuff with sway here. I'm sure he's looking everywhere. It looks like he has an overlap here of salices, S-A-L-I. So it looks like that. I don't know whether he'll be comfortable with that, putting the S in the triple lane, but it doesn't seem any worse than the other stuff like, slicers. Maybe slicers is actually better positionally. You know what? I think I prefer that. He plays clevises. That looks like it's the most defensive of any option. That's a nice idea, actually. This gives very, very little back to Ganesh. The only thing it gives back is a triple lane with this V here, which obviously there already is a real V. It's a blank V. So it gives nothing new back. That's tricky. He did sacrifice a few points. Oh yeah, I'm not seeing any issues on my end with frames dropping. Since I restarted the stream, I have no frames dropped, thankfully. I don't want to jinx it. Jeez. Okay. Let me just see if we have that. Wow.
Once played Clevis holding S3 pepperonis.
Oh, that's unfortunate. That is unfortunate to hear that. All right, let me get my other game screen up so that we can cut back to this one. Oh, we already have Sherwin in the correct window, and we have Ganesh Asiratham. Let's pop over to this game, and we will get the Sherwin rack adjusted correctly in just a moment. Just changing it so we can cut to other games, and they will not. And I see that everything is in need of adjusting. I will make sure to do that shortly. Got the Sherwin score correct. Got this correct. Okay, very good. I think everything is, the flags are good. All right, great. Yeah, playing Clevis, leaving ES, that is a Galaxy Brain. That is a Galaxy Brain level play. That you gotta salute that play. All right, so yeah, there was a good point that perhaps had Salices been played for extra points. Wow, very interesting. Ganesh, I did not see that one coming. Ganesh with just the E fish right there. Boy, that looks odd. Keeping the two T's, so he had Gentiest. That's surprising. I didn't see that one coming. Obviously, Ganesh, I definitely deferred to his expertise. I'm not going to, immediately say that had to have been a mistake, but it looks like with other options on the board that score a lot more, or fishing options that use one of the T's, I think his bingo percentage would have been a little higher had he used one of those up. Or maybe his bingo percentage is higher after this, but it just scoring 2 is just kind of scary. Interesting idea. So basically, ETTING is very strong. He's going to bingo a lot of the time, but the problem is, from his perspective, if Sherwin responds to that as defensively as he can, right, he's definitely going to try to block this spot where EEN goes down. However he can. It's not actually clear to me how he's going to do it, but he will do his absolute best to block it. Let's see. How might he do it? Even just something like Ogle, right? I might even consider something like Ogle. Just after a play like EE, you just have to address that spot, I think. What else is there that you can do? Thanks for the follow, Aditya. Are you done with your game? Yes, you are. Okay, so this may be the last game to... Oh yeah, Tway and Teepee. Yeah, maybe... Okay, so basically, that's interesting. What an interesting situation that was. I feel like after EE, it's just red alert to block this spot however you can, even if it means a big equity sacrifice. So Ganesh is now going to play letting or Edeling, whichever he prefers. Letting takes a cup. I know it takes a B in Collins, and then I don't know what else. And Edeling, I'm sure, takes many more hooks, so he'll probably play letting and just live with it. Oh, gotcha. Okay, that is clever. I get it now. I get it now. All right, let's see. Well, you know what? I can't. I don't think I want to do the. I don't think I want to do the Quackle right now, just because I need to make it so that I don't cause my stream to crash, which I didn't realize that that was going to happen. We can try it. Let's hope. Let's hope the stream. All right. You know what? We're too far ahead. So I'll refund your points on that as soon as I can. We're too far ahead. I don't want to go back. But that makes total sense now. I didn't even realize. Yeah, I'm just too dim-witted to realize that the TTING with Tway and Teepee is actually super strong. So that's why Ganesh is Ganesh and that I am myself. All right. Bingos are flying here. That is amazing because the board was so closed, and now what have we seen? 3 bingos in a row on that board. I would not have predicted that 3 bingos would be played in a row on this board at all. So yeah, the EE play is definitely interesting. We can go back. I have the Quackle going. I just don't want to crash the stream. And once again, just to note, we've already seen Ganesh pushing Udayan into a really, really tough situation on time. Obviously, Udayan still won that game that they played. But that seems to be a theme that Ganesh plays quickly and accurately. So it's going to be a handful for his opponents. No surprise there. He is the top-rated player in Wespa. And poking goes down. That looks totally fine for Sherwin. I think it's a pretty reasonable play to score 48 points there. The only issue, obviously, is that he's still going to be down. He's down by 7 right now, and it's going to be more after Ganesh's next play, which I'm not sure what he can do here. It would be nice to see a play there that scores really well without opening anything, but I don't think he has anything great there. So it looks like this game is probably one of the last couple to be played. I will look at some of the other results that occurred. Wow, Aditya wins again. Amazing. So he's 4-0, just carrying India so far. If he's still in the chat, kudos. That is really, really impressive. So that would be here. We give another win to India. Akshay looks like he's done with his game. He defeated Andrew Chang. That's another win for India. So we are at the brink here. What is this? Yes. Okay. Maybe hopefully, hopefully this game still has import. It would be great if this was like an elimination game for Malaysia, and that would add a little extra drama. Okay, those are the only 2 rounds that appear to be completed. It looks like this game's still underway. Okay, Hor is played. Vanita lost. Yep, that's true. All right, so it looks like India has clinched with a round to go. Amazing stuff. Let's continue to tune into this game. between Sherwin and Ganesh, two excellent players. But obviously, India is clinching this matchup. Very impressive performance. And what's going on in the Darren game? Let's just look at that really quickly. Looks like Darren, he may be in trouble too, depending on whether Grover has a high enough scoring out. So let's not get too bogged down in these other games. Back to this one. All right, let's see here. So Hoare went down the upper part of the board. Still plenty of good scoring spots for Sherwin. And Hoare did not really address any of the... I mean, there are really not great bingo lines available anyway. Yeah, the togged spot looks like... So here's the thing about that spot, right? If maybe... How do you leave that spot open knowing that if Ganesh has any kind of remotely playable word that goes down the far triple column, it's going to get blocked, right? So I'm wondering if, okay, so he plays Wud. That's an interesting play. He could have played Wud for more points, but maybe he's electing to sort of protect this hook a little bit better and hope to redraw the D. I don't know about that one. That's really interesting. So there were definitely other spots that Sherwin could have played, but maybe he's doing his best to keep this alive as a lane and make it very difficult for Ganesh to close it without opening anything new. See, now he has... Wow. So he's made... Ganesh makes a really nice play of Udo for 30 with weak tiles, but obviously in so doing, he's now created a situation where this lane is open, and if Sherwin does something in any other part of the board to open... All right, he plays metric really fast. I don't know about that, because you basically are now committed to outscoring. The pool was so bad. Oh man, it's going so quick. Metric makes the score so even, but it creates a situation that I just don't... Man, I don't know. Because look, right? So now Ganesh can just play something like Jura right here if he wants. And the odds of a J play going down are not super good. Basically, without the blank, it's next to impossible. And if he does have the blank, it's not good for him anyway. All right. A lot of action just occurred there at a very quick pace. Let me see if I can get back to understanding. I think metric was a nice idea, but what about something like you could have scored pretty well in that position just by playing like Demic right here instead. And that would have scored well and preserved this as a threat to you. I don't know. That's tricky. That one will require some analysis, maybe. So basically, I've been directed to point out any really interesting games to the Coco team. So they're going to do an annotated game column. And right now, this looks to me like the front runner. So just the E-fish alone is so interesting. I would love to see more analysis of that while the game's not live. Yeah, Udo could indicate extreme strength. That's a great point. Opening a lane the way Udo does could just indicate that he's really strong, and he needs to block it and hope to draw the J and the X, which he probably does not have when he plays Udo. So I that could be a reasonable way of approaching it. If he draws the J in particular, there's definitely plays he can draw into that might leap ahead of Ganesh in the endgame. Very tricky situation here. So Ganesh does have the ability to play for a lot of points here. Jura in that spot alone scores 50. It does risk, if Sherwin draws the second blank, it risks getting hit very hard, but is that really so impossible for Ganesh to overcome if he gets hit there? He's already up by 4. He's going to score 53 with Jura. He'll be up by so much that even a really heavy-hitting J play there might be too unwieldy in the endgame. Ganesh plays aggressively to inhibit opponents' inferences. Yeah, that could be. That's definitely a thing. It's definitely a thing in poker where if you just play crazy, nobody can know what you have ever, which is very useful. But you just have to live with some amount of time. Okay, there's Jura. Ganesh drew the blank. Is Jibbin a word, I think? Hold on. I think there will be... No, it's not. What am I... Oh, Jibbins? Is that a sticky S? I don't even know what I'm thinking of. So it looks amazingly like... Oh, wow. You know what? Sorry. Oh, Jibbins is a sticky S? Okay, good. Yeah, bledding. I hadn't even considered the B hook of bledding. So that is a totally important thing to consider in this position, is that there were both Bs unseen for bledding, and there's definitely scary things that can be played there. But the problem is, for Sherwin, it's great to have a big play like inbox, but then Ganesh is just going to play Jivey or something from the J. So I think that's going to be enough for Ganesh. So nice win by him here. I assume, obviously, let's not jump to conclusions, but it looks like even after the huge play of inbox and bledding, that Ganesh drawing that blank along with the Y, or he had the Y already, but just drawing the blank should be enough. Really interesting. I wonder. Oh, Jobin. Okay, so that is likely to be challenged, I think. I don't think that's a word. And that seals the deal for Ganesh. I wonder, would Jobin have had a chance to win if it were good? Is that sort of a calculated thing, or maybe just an honest mistake? I wonder. Let me see. Had he played Jobin? Wow, beautiful. Oh my god. So Ganesh responds with devilry. Oh my goodness. That's amazing. With Jivey staring you right in the face. Instead, Ganesh plays devilry, which looks like a tremendous play. So he had Viry blank RN. Yeah, that's what he had. That looks like it has to be the best. Beautiful. Oh, I see. You guys spotted that already. That is a beautiful play. Actually, according to Quackle, it would have been better for him to... Let me see if I can go to this. Well, hold on. Are the other games going? Nope, everybody was waiting for this one. All right, let's quickly go to the matchup coverage. So it looks like Darren is done with his game. Oh, wow. Ganesh and Akshay have started their game instantly, which I'm assuming that that's going to be a popular game. In the poll. Let me just get that poll up if you guys want. Round 5 streaming matchup. Okay, so whatever you guys want to see. It looks like India, for the record, has clinched this matchup. So I'm pretty sure the number 1 seeds together is going to be the runaway winner in the poll. Let me just make sure the standings are correct. And it looks like the score of the match currently, it was 10-5 and is now 13-7. Yep. Okay, so it looks like that is the clear winner. We will cut over to that. Thank you to Jay Jang for the follow. Really appreciate that. All right, let's go observe this game and not fall too far behind. All right. We'll just put the poll up for people to continue to vote. It looks like a total runaway between those games. But obviously, we'll try our best to check in on as many games as we can. So it looks like Akshay went first in the game. Going into round 5, which I know I got to update some of this stuff, which I will do. It is Akshay v. Ganesh. Okay, that's updated. Um, and Finny and Jin were played. That was a really, really interesting game. That previous game that was just played. That will be. I think that's going to be a runaway winner in the interesting game category. That Coco is going to be doing a really, really in-depth write-up on the most interesting games that are played. So that one, look for that on the Coco website at some point. Wow, nice play, Miss Sejin. Miss Sejin is a beautiful play, but what are the hooks on that? I think it takes an E, right? I think Miss Sejin takes an E. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's really big potential counterplay now for Ganesh with. There must be stuff with like something with the E. Even just Devil scores a ton. Is there anything with the E? Oh, devoid. Voided. Yeah, Voided scores really, really nicely. So I would fully expect Ganesh to see and know that. Yeah, Livido. Livido, the skin disease, I think. All right, so we know that that poll is basically concluded. Yeah, misogyny. How is that spelled? It must be spelled a different way. Looks like Ganesh just lost contact for a minute. So yeah, once again, while we wait for him to pop back, we'll just get a look at this matchup coverage, the poll out of the way. So you can see India has clinched. They have won each of the first 4 rounds by varying degrees. Round 1, they won 4-1, and 3-2 in round 2, 3, and 4. So a pretty convincing win for Team India. For those pulling for Malaysia, commiserations. It's not over for them. They just have to have better performances against Thailand and the UK, which is absolutely within their ability to do. And India starting off on absolutely the best possible foot with a great win. Oh, yes. Devil keeping a D is probably a good idea. So, Ganesh still offline. So while he is offline, we can just pop back and see what's going on in any of the other games. What did the poll say for other games people wanted to see? Pretty much even. So the Andrew and Nakul matchup, I believe, is actually Cedric versus Nakul. We can pop in on that one real quick. Yes. Flipping the flags. So Seltzer, a nice bingo going down here. Are we feeling like there was no Andrew on the stream? Why don't we get some of him on the stream then? I'm trying to be as egalitarian as possible while also letting people get the games that they want to see. All right, so yeah, it has occurred to me that we have not had Andrew Chang on the stream very much, and we've picked a good time for him to appear on the stream because he is up by 80 points and on turn against the star of the stream so far, Aditya Iyengar, who I think is 4-0 as the 5 seed. So yeah, Ganesh still offline. That's definitely a really juicy matchup between Ganesh Subratham and Akshay Bandarkar. We will get back to that when they're available, but impressive going so far for Aditya, and strong play there of Foggy by Andrew. We like that. Although Aditya is now likely to bingo at the very least is something like Othered, Dehorted. There's definitely stuff available for him to get back in the game. And there you see Othered go down. All right. Still a very strong lead for Andrew in this game. I think bazoom is a word. I don't know where it plays, but that's funny. Hopefully we can find a spot for it to go down. I don't think so. I mean, yeah, I was literally about to say Uzo looks like a really awesome play through that U of Murray's, and he played it, found it, and played it really fast. So Andrew is on the yeah, bazoom. I think bazoom is not likely to. Also, that is, not to dwell too much on that, but I'm pretty sure that it would be a sticky S word. I'm not sure I've heard that in the singular ever. But yeah, we got to tread carefully with words like that. It's not the moment to be talking about stuff like that. But as I said earlier, trying for this to be a positive streaming experience. Don't want to get too bogged down into all the debates going on. We're trying to remember why we all love Scrabble so much with the coverage of this event. Oh, I think they're back. Oh, no, they're not. Yeah, Ganesh having some kind of issue, but I'm sure he'll be back. So, yeah, interesting. Uzo goes down for Andrew, Jun goes down for Aditya, and another really good scoring play for Andrew of Nub. He is just putting a ton of pressure on right now. And I think, wow, Rumbud will fit here. So basically, you can, I think if he sees that word, a bingo is going down. If he doesn't see it, he can still do pretty well just blocking this H. But yeah, there's definitely possibility for him to play this word right here. It's not even that terrifying, given that he's going up by a ton of points. There it is. Rumbud goes down. So that is going to be a pretty tough deficit now for Aditya to overcome, but he should hold his head high because he's already 4-0 going into this game with wins against some of the absolute best players that Malaysia has to offer. Yeah, so pop back over to the matchup coverage. We're in round 5 right now. If you've been watching from start to finish, thank you so much for hanging out. You can see it's been all India here, but basically a lot of impressive games from the Malaysian squad. The level of play on the stream has been actually really high. So from both teams. So that's been awesome. Hopefully it's more to come in future rounds. And once again, the broadcast schedule. So we were here at 8 a.m. my time, 12 noon GMT. And basically, just looking at the clock right now, it looks like in an hour and a half, you should, if you're not sated, you should head on over to Coco Scrabble, where Evans and potentially other commentators will have you covered for Nigeria versus Pakistan, which is, I will be watching. I'm very, very interested to see how that unfolds. Canada versus Ghana at 8. Obviously, the coverage for that is going to be tricky because Ireland versus New Zealand happens only a half hour after. But I imagine if you tune into that broadcast, you'll get some updates on Canada versus Ghana as well. And then much later in the evening, I'll be taking a nap, sleeping probably, getting a little extra energy. I'll be back again for double duty against the Philippines. I'll be streaming my end of the games. You're going to see 5 games from me. Future games with the USA will have other commentators so you can see all the other good players on the team. You don't need to see me every time. Thank you, Ollie, for the kind words. Appreciate that. So this game continuing to go in all Andrew's way. He's going to play Santur and Reels or some other combination of an S hooking bingo. Is there something ending in H? Tarbouche he could play, ending in H. And there it is. There it is. Nicely done. So the tile's definitely going Andrew's way, and he's played great. Pretty much since we tuned into this game, he made top play after top play. Really nicely done. But ultimately, this match is India's and was already decided going into round 5. So Yeah, still not sure what's going on with Ganesh's internet. He is offline right now. Hopefully he pops back on at some point. Really, really enjoyable game between Ganesh and Sherwin Rodriguez in the previous round. Out of curiosity, I listened to the selection show afterwards, the show that I did with Evans to determine the groupings, and I was aghast to hear my volume levels are totally off. Is anybody having any issue with the volume of my microphone or any other features of the broadcast? Any technical things to tweak? Definitely want to get those squared away now. From my end, it looks okay, but just let me know if you guys are hearing anything, if I'm too loud, anything like that. Great. Benji says he had to turn down the volume because of hangover. All right, Ganesh is back. This game is already very, very much decided. Let's cut back to this game. Ganesh's disconnection did not cost him time. That's ISC's way, which I think is fine. This was not a position that Ganesh needed a ton of time to figure out, assuming he knows the hook on Misegin or not. Great, thanks for the feedback, guys. Glad it sounds good. All right, so even though this match is decided in favor of India, who moves to 1-0, this is a really juicy matchup in round 5 between Akshay and Ganesh, the 2 number 1 seeds of each team. So we will continue back in, and sure enough, we do see Devoid. There was the idea of potentially playing Devil and leaving the D, another one of those 2 Ds for the Jin hook, but Devoid, it's hard to argue with that. It's hard to argue with that play. It's pretty nice. 50 points. This rack looks very similar to a rack that Ganesh had in his previous game. Actually, as the H is definitely going to play alongside Misegin. You could just play HAO there for a solid score, leaving the airy leave. That looks pretty good. I mean, just this spot right there. Good morning to 14 Domino. That's just with color keying and OBS. Happy to teach anybody any of the features that we have going on. I did the same for the tiles on the bottom, which we're just at the point where maybe the next move is going to pop up the unseen tiles on the bottom. Let's see. It looks like most of the games are still in progress. And he plays Ya on the other side. That looks good. That looks fine. I guess the issue with Ya is that it leaves 3 vowels and an R. And just playing HAO, actually keeping the Y might actually be good for scoring on subsequent turns, but it's hard to argue with Ya. It gives a little counterplay back too that How does not. Don't think of that as any kind of serious issue though. Sure, Benji, my pleasure. I certainly gave enough to Evans, enough of my time to Evans. So, all right. So we saw in the previous game, Ganesh made a play that confused me of just fishing an E. And then it dawned on me, thanks to the chat, thanks to you guys' observation in the chat, that, wow, that actually was a great play. So Ganesh plays Chile here. I was not seeing anything any better than that available. I couldn't find a parallel play, alongside Ya. But it's going to get countered with Tabarin for Akshay. So it looks like maybe overall it seems like Ganesh has had a bit of a rough go of it with his opponents. Or rather, he's had a couple of really tough draws at bad times, but he's played awesome, which we expect from him. So Tabarin goes down for 75 for Akshay, and Ganesh has drawn well, but well, actually not well, I should say. I'm not sure what he left. But yeah, FM is not what you want to see. So I misspoke there. I would not say he's drawn well. He's going to have to get rid of FM as best he can. or perhaps just score as much as he can with something that doesn't do that. So the Tabarine hook is available. I don't know what he may opt to play something like Fermi here. I don't know. Something like that scores decently well. It's definitely, I mean, he's down over 100, so I think Akshay will be incentivized to play in that spot anytime he can, and then it does leave a good scoring spot left over, but I don't know. He may want to just leave that hook completely open. I'm not sure what to play that does that though. I see. His lead was Elm. So he drew FIOR. Not perfect. Yeah, I would say Ganesh is playing awesome, and not only I would say maybe he's gotten a bad draw or two, but also his opponents are drawing very well. Luck manifests itself so many different ways. Let's see, any other games? It looks like the game between Andrew and Aditya has completed as expected. Andrew came out on top in that game. He was up huge from what we saw. So that is going to be a win for Malaysia. We'll see if Malaysia can cut the gap here. This game obviously looking grim for Ganesh. Physics is fun. There is a schedule. While we wait for Ganesh's move to come in, I'll just pop up and show you the schedule for this weekend. The next 3 weekends are going to have pool play. I have the schedule up here that I am just cutting to rather than doing it that way. No moves still coming in for the Ganesh game. So today, I should add the link to that schedule. But I think, is it not the case that my standings link has... Does this have the... Yeah, okay. So that link has what you're seeing in front of you right now. So if you go to cocoscrabble.org live coverage, it shows you the schedule and all that other stuff. So I just condensed it into one. No worries. I could probably give it a better tag. Twitch tag. Yeah, I still have to join that Discord, and I still want to talk to you about that, Weibin. It seems like an awesome resource. Just been busy prepping for this. So yeah, this is a tricky situation. So the last time Ganesh took a long time on a position, he made a play that was outside the box, but ended up looking like a really smart idea. So it's hard. I mean, some positions just don't have a move like that available. So but you gotta put in time to think, is there something that's off the beaten path that gives me a better chance to come back in this game? I don't know how much Ganesh was down in that previous game, but it was a lot, and he still managed to come back. So to me, those are some of the most rewarding games when you figure out some really, really off the beaten path way of winning a game. Often in double challenge, that involves coming up with a really creative bluff, coming up with a phony, but usually the gambits that you have to pull off in 5-point challenge are a little bit more positional or have to do with hooks. Oh, was he only down 30? Okay, so maybe I gave him a little too much credit. Still a great move, though. Yeah, for Ganesh, this is a very long period of time that he's thinking. We've seen him play super fast. Okay, so he opts to play 4. There were other, like we had pointed out, plays with the Tabarine hook that might have been better equity, but he's doing that to just continue to get lanes open on the board. There was no action going on in this part of the board at all. So now at least there is something. And there's Bovid and Jin for Akshay, which just comes down instantaneously. That looks like a nice idea. Just continue to... Ganesh trying to open that quadrant of the board. He's trying to open, but instead it's cut off completely by Bovid. And the D of Jin just continues to really wall off all of this space. So in addition to being just a good scoring play as well, Ganesh plays Maxi pretty quick, and the second blank finds its way onto Akshay's rack. I think it's possible that Maxi blocked plays that Diketone would have played through the end of Tabarin, but now it doesn't thanks to Maxi. So Ganesh has bought himself a little bit of time, but I think it's going to be bad news because that blank eventually is going to go down. Whether or not, I mean, he's definitely has incentive to look for something on his wrong thing, to look for something starting with a K, because if he has a bingo starting with K, it would play there, but he does not have a bingo like that. That's so funny. It just my auto mod Jeremy tried to make me not let you say that, but I will allow it because too much. This is the order of the day in Scrabble. That is not offensive, I don't think. All right, so Akshay plays okay for 37. And Ganesh drew the Q, which is just one of those games for him. He's not drawn well enough to keep pace with Akshay here. Akshay obviously has played fine. He's played very well. Misegin was a great find. I think that was the highest scoring bingo. Yeah, so not every single game is going to have coverage. The reason that there is no link for the Ghana-Canada game is that there is another match taking place only half an hour afterwards. So it's not really, unless we were wanting to split our audience. Wow, great play, Queerity. All right, so Ganesh played Heine, leaving the Q. Boy, a lot of words here that may be gone from the dictionary sometime soon. Just kidding. Probably not. So yeah, nice find though by Akshay. 2 really good finds with his blanks, and yeah, he still has the Q. So yeah, I regularly battle with Akshay on Aerolith, Collins, blank bingos and stuff. He's very good. It's not easy to beat him at word stuff on Aerolith for sure. And another one coming down. Ganesh probably laughing at this point. What can you do? So yeah, he's played his Q off. There was really no option to do much with it. And Ganesh draws and Akshay draws another bingo. And Ganesh has the Z and Clunk. So tough going here in this game for Ganesh, but it's been a lot of fun to watch these games, and no surprise at the really high level of play that we've seen. Pretty much everyone that's been on the stream has played great. It's hard to even think about a game where we could even point to a big mistake. So lose is being pointed out. There's also DZO right here, right? That scores 45 if you want to. But yeah, it's all academic right now for Ganesh. All right, let's see. Other results that have been coming in. It looks like a bunch. Akshay plays Pegless. Oh my gosh. So it's just, this is reaching comical proportions. That is a valid word for anybody not sure. And Ganesh draws UUW. Oh, it's just rough. It's a rough go for him. Let me see here. Cedric did beat Nakul in that matchup. Yeah, everybody paying respects to Ganesh. Tough game for him, for sure. So Cedric came out on top in that game, and it looks like Darren came out on top against Sherwin. So a couple more wins. Actually, this game we are pretty much now. It's been decided for a little while, but now it's gone from a sure win for Akshay to like pulverizing category. And the only other matchup yet to be completed is between Vanita and Udayan. Oh my god! Stop the fight! Stop the fight! End it! Throw the damn towel! Pretty intense. All right, so this game is now about to come to he's already dead. Here's the other matchup, and oh my gosh, this is going no better. As Udayan is just giving Vanita a tough time in this game as well. So this will be the last game of the round. So let me just make sure that I have all of this correct. I think we're pretty much confident that that's going to be a win for India. So barring something crazy with the scoring, it looks like that our final score of this matchup is heading towards Malaysia does come out on top in round 5. But it looks like the score is going to be... what's happening here? I got to mess with the score, which is jiggling around. There we go. That's a little better. So our final score here... wow, yeah, Vanita is down super low on her clock with a ton of time left to play. But yeah, so basically I've jumped to conclusions here a little bit. Not every game is completed, but I am calling the games. Oh, flags again. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We will fix that now. Yes. So barring something insane, it's going to be a 15-10 win for India in our first matchup so far in the Virtual World Cup. It's been a pretty great group of games, honestly. Hopefully we did it justice. A little bit of technical stuff on my end that should hopefully be less prominent going forward as I get the hang of it with flags and everything else. Yeah, so basically if we pop back to the pool play standings, you can see that I haven't updated this yet, but India is going to move to 1-0 and Malaysia to 0-1. But both teams will have to play UK and Thailand. And going forward, both of those teams really strong. So getting a win is a great start for India. Tough loss for Malaysia, but both teams have a ton of Scrabble left to play to decide their fate. And 2 of those teams will move on out of Group A into the bracket, which obviously has no teams in it yet. It's still far too early. Our first, just our first match of the first round. Let's just pop back to the broadcast schedule for those that are curious. How long am I going to have to wait for more coverage? Not long, about an hour and a half, maybe less. In less than an hour and a half, Coco Scrabble will go live and they will have coverage of Nigeria versus Pakistan. Thank you for the follow, Mitsurugi. I'm pretty sure I know who that is. Yeah, so definitely there. So answer to that question, games people recommend. The only issue with that is that Coco is already doing a annotated game of the week category, so there's definitely going to be games. I just I suppose the readership is not going to overlap so much. So basically, for me, the most interesting game was round 4 between Ganesh and Sherwin. That was a really interesting game. So I can make sure I get that Quackle file for you, Paul. It's already in their recent history, so I'll grab that down and send it to you. But yeah, that was the one that stood out to me, but I'm sure there were many other games that took place, and unfortunately, I bet there were really good games that happened that we didn't get to see. As this game winds its way to the inevitable conclusion of Udayan defeating Vanita. Vanita's clock, you can see, super low. She's going to obviously try to play as fast as she can. Yeah, so again, the issue with the Canada and Ghana is simply that if you were to look at the schedule, the schedule is the first item on this standings link, you'll see that Ireland versus who are they playing again? Hold on a second. Let me just make sure I have it right. Oh, I can barely see. Ireland versus New Zealand. That matchup is actually happening immediately after Canada gets going with Ghana, half an hour. So it was basically just a flip a coin choice between which game to primarily cover. But rest assured that future weeks, we have 3 weekends coming up, one after the other, and for sure, the games that don't get, or the teams that don't receive streaming coverage will get it on future weeks. We're going to try to cover as many teams as we can. Between all of us together, we should get to a lot of it, but it just obviously with so many teams from so many different parts of the world, it's very difficult to cover each and every one. So we're doing our best. I think we're going to get to 6 between myself, Evans, Benji Scrabble, and Lord Livgan, Jeremy Koo. So those are the 4 streamers that are on board to bring as much coverage as we can. Jeremy on the Singapore team, and I am on the USA team. So I'll be back later today, much later today. It's 10:42 a.m. for me right now, and I'll be back at 9 p.m. Yeah, I think the issue with the Canada match is simply that it occurs at the same time. It was just scheduled at the same time as another match. So I think we want to, when that happens, I do think we want to stick to just the one match, or at least one channel that's streaming, just so that we condense the audience in one place, and it's a more it's a better experience for those watching one stream as opposed to having to keep track of 2 streams at once. Is the general idea. So oh, that's awesome. To Quixotic N. That's totally cool. We definitely, I mean, right now, given the state of Scrabble, I think the more streamers, the better. And if you feel more comfortable with TWL, I hope that there will be more TWL events, at least in the time being. I don't want to open a can of worms getting into lexicon stuff. It seems like more of the energy of streaming is Collins related right now, which I also kind of like, as I think in the long game of Scrabble is headed that direction. Maybe. I don't know how the slurs thing factors in. But obviously right now there would be audience for both TWL and CSW streams, and hopefully people fill that void. I just want to see more streaming. The more streaming, the better. Lexicon stuff is, to me, it is important, but it is, right now, it is a lesser concern. So anyway, let's not get into that. Wow. Nice play. That looked like, so it looked like Udayan's Fish of Ugg was set up to go for X-Teens, and he did hit it. And it would have played in 2 places too. So that was a nice play by Udayan. He spent the entire rest of his time making what looks like the absolute best play in that tricky position, which you love to see, because even though the match was decided, people still trying to play their absolute best Scrabble. So, all right, that appears to have been the last game of this round. So once again, we go back to show the completed screen. India with a huge 4-1 win in round 1, and 3-2 wins in rounds 2, 3, and 4 to clinch the match going into round 5, where Malaysia did get a measure of revenge by winning 3-2 for their lone round win. So once again, well done to India, commiserations to Malaysia, and I think that's going to do it for now. So basically, if you are jonesing for more Scrabble, you're going to get it in about an hour and 15 minutes at twitch.tv/CocoScrabble. So thanks everybody for joining and watching. It was a pleasure to cover this event. Such a pleasure, in fact, that I'll be back tonight to do it again for another match. USA versus the Philippines. Obviously, I know with time zones, some people may be sleeping by that time, but if you can, if you are awake, or if you're in a part of the world where that's not a terrible time, you can tune in then and see me again. But otherwise, Coco Scrabble is the place to go today for more coverage of this event. All right. Thanks everybody for hanging out, and hope you enjoy future matches coming your way from the Virtual World Cup. Catch you later, everybody.